His experiences as a musician, an actor, a plant-based health coach really laid the foundation for the work that he offers today.
Taking people from trauma to at least a base point of peace.
Just one culture that carries the shamanic practitioner, the healer, the shaman, the medicine person. All of them do.
I was making an album and planning to move to Atlanta to work on music.
Welcome to At Home with ChaChaMama. I'm your host, ChaChaMama, and today I'm so excited to have our first guest on the podcast, Chrys Kyng. He is one of my dearest friends. We've been along this journey for a long time. So let me introduce you a little bit to Chrys Kyng. Having been obsessed with witches, Native American culture, astrology, and all things paranormal from a very early age, he knew he came here with a mission. And his experiences as a musician, an actor, a plant-based health coach really laid the foundation for the work that he offers today. He's had several spiritual awakenings and profound mystical experiences, and he left his high-paying corporate job to now be a full-time a shamanic healer, a spiritual business mentor, and the founder of Ascended Astrology, Apothecary Medicine Alchemy, as well as the creator of Microdose, a line of high-performing microdosing blends. He loves creating magical experiences in the form of shamanic ceremonies and medicine retreats that he facilitates in sacred locations across the globe. And he's passionate about assisting lightworkers and starseeds in activating their soul mission and healing themselves by tapping out of the false matrix and creating a new earth. And he is truly a new earth leader. Actually, as I was getting ready to come here today, that was the one thing that came to mind is Chrys is a new earth healer. Chrys, hi, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you at home with ChaChaMama. I feel very at home.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to have you here. You are a piece of home to me, and I'm so glad to have you here. I love, there's so much that you offer and so much that I've experienced in life with you from theater. That's where Chrys and I really began. And then into the medicine world, well, psychic medium, medicine world, and really a lot of healing work together. And I have had the honor to sit with Chrys in his medicine facilitation, as well as doing astrocartography, astrology, and mediumship readings with Chrys. He is incredible. And Chrys, if you don't mind to start by sharing a little bit about your spiritual awakening.
Well, first, thank you. And yes, there's been a lot that we have experienced in this lifetime and also others. And so we just continue our journey of healing ourselves and ascending and evolving and really tapping into the mission that we've both come here with, which is very similar, which is making people happy, which is tapping out of the false matrix, but just taking people from trauma to at least a base point of peace and neutrality and openness where spirit can take care of the rest. I really feel that this has been my whole life leading up to this. Okay, my entire life has been leading up to this. So when you ask me about my spiritual awakening, I want to go, which one? So I had one at 11. I had one at 18. I had one at 21 for sure, 2021. I had one at 27, which is the one that everyone wants to talk about, and that's the Kundalini awakening. And although I had several awakening points that led up to that, and I've been into astrology and mediumship and going to psychics since I was 18 and astrology since I was 16 and witches and the occult and things like that since I was very little. There's always been this thirst for ancient knowledge and ancient civilizations, and like I've had this pharaoh head since I was 18 years old. There's been a connection with Egypt and Atlantis and Lemuria and all the things that I now work with. It's always been there. But the awakening point that happened for me that was extremely pivotal was when I was 27 years old. And this was, how would I say that in the proper Southern church terms? It was prophesied by a psychic medium in Bardstown, Kentucky, that, and she doesn't talk like that at all. She's not even from Kentucky. But Beth Ballard, we're all, pump fists up or hands up for you. She was incredible. She is incredible. And she told me at 27, everything would begin for me. And I was making an album and planning to move to Atlanta to work on music. And I had a Kundalini awakening that I feel was not induced, but was prepared, was made way for by psilocybin mushrooms 6 months before that, when I had a horrifying psilocybin experience from taking 9 grams. Okay, I'm not going to do it again. Okay. This is what I do now. And as a professional and an expert, I'm going to say you should never, ever take that much. And I didn't know I was doing that. But then I went through this Kundalini awakening. I'm leaving so much out, by the way. And I didn't sleep for 21 days. And it wasn't until I went to see a friend referred me to Penny Sisto, who did a shamanic healing on me, even though she wouldn't call it that. It was extremely shamanic. Um, there was screaming and silk cloths and spitting and howling and banshee noises. There's nothing more shamanic than what she did. And I was able to sleep for the first time that night. And she told me, you're an empath. You need to wear a dark stone around your neck. Things I had already heard for years, but did not adopt for myself. I just thought that's for them. Even when I stepped into this, I saw myself as someone who helped starseeds, not someone who was one, because I need my own experience of it. So I've had the experience of the Kundalini awakening, and I don't want to go through it again. I went through it twice, really for several years, but 2 awakening points that were connected. And I really came into my gifts after that because I had no choice. Right after that, I moved to Atlanta, and spirit just started coming, because when you open the door, they come. I thought Kundalini made me more psychic. Just think it made me realize the path I was on was not where I wanted to go. And as soon as I oriented toward the spiritual path or metaphysical path, everything just opened for me. And then, of course, you had also come into your mediumship and psychic awakening a couple years before I did. So there was this path that was laid for me that you had already come into. So it was helpful to have someone like you on my journey, in my experience, that was able to show me how it could look, or that, yes, this is actually a thing. And maybe there was a connection, I thought, between what was happening with you. And then, of course, we found out we have to remember that we came into the world not in August of late 70s, June of the early 90s. That is not when we came into the world. We came into the world when our mothers came into the world, which were on the exact same day in the same hospital in 1958. So there might be some kind of connection around that, right? And so with that, I think we've helped cultivate the opening to this. And then, of course, medicine work, shamanism had been there for me since I was a kid, really, but since I was 20 with ayahuasca. So when you brought medicine into my space, it was like, oh, well, this is already something I do. I do want to participate in this with you and experience this now, because we both felt that call and we came into that together. So there's been this beautiful journey of thinking that we were mediums, and then realizing that medium is just one of the codes that goes into the shamanic healer, New Earth leader codex, and that it was just one of the many things we were going to step into. Medicine, another one of them. Not all shamans hold medicine or shamanic healers. I do. Okay. And I have no problem using the term shaman or shamanic healer. It is an Evenki Siberian term. So the fact that anyone, the Celts, the Africans, the Balinese, use the term shaman, SHAMAN, is not correct. So if we're all going to do it, then I'm going to do it too. Okay. And there are Celtic shamans who consider themselves shamans. And I just feel guided by spirit to go here. And I just want to say to people, I'm from Kentucky. This physical body was born in Kentucky, which is sacred Native American land. So although Celtic shamanism is very similar in many ways, I have been exposed to Native American shamanism much more than Celtic shamanism, even though I look like a Celt. I'm not from there. Okay. My feet touched this land. So
Mm,
I was really connected to Native American culture, feathers, drums, rattles when I was a little kid. We would,
mm,
and that's technically cultural appropriation now. But back then, when I was a kid in the 90s going to Cherokee, North Carolina, I wanted the drum. I wanted the moccasins. Um, I didn't want to do it to go to do something super offensive. Do you know what I mean?
right.
That even back
Yeah.
then was technically offensive. It
Right.
was, I was so obsessed with Pocahontas. Let's just be clear about that. But there was a reason she was my favorite, and Ariel. Those two. They were the ones that I felt the most connection to because I feel Atlantis and the ocean and that whole thing I've had to heal in this lifetime and the Native American connection. It's in my bloodline too. It's not like I'm
Right.
only Irish and Scottish and Welsh. No, it's in there, right? But I just want to say this whole coming into our gifts and coming into all of this has been an awakening in and of itself and a shamanic
Mm.
initiation. And I have been
Ah,
initiated so many, can I
go
say
for
it?
it. Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you touched base on a couple things. Like I'm with you. Like the shamans go back millennia,
Do you
really.
mind if I have
Like,
some blue lotus, as we call in
no, please,
Nymphaea caerulea?
mm, please do have
I'm
some blue
obsessed
lotus
with
and
decalcifying
enjoy.
my pineal gland right now.
Talk a little. I want to talk a little bit about that because Blue Lotus is a beautiful medicine that you work with. But I also want to touch base on, you're right on. The shamans go back into different cultures, into all the cultures, there being a medicine person. And there being shamans that held medicine, some that do not. There are many different types of shamans. And so I feel that that is important to know that it's not just one culture that carries the shamanic practitioner, the healer, the shaman, the medicine person. They're all of them do. It's
All of
available
them
to all
do.
of us,
And
really.
it exists on other planets too. It existed in Lemuria and Atlantis.
Yeah.
They may have called them priests and priestesses. The Balinese call them dukuns. There's different names, and some of them do function differently. You know, some of the bone shamans from Tibet, they have practices that specifically cultivate and move the weather, like Madame Morrible and Wicked. So they all have their own codes, and we want to honor that culture, and we don't want to erase them, but we are moving into a time, I believe, where we need to gather together as all humans because this culture war
Yeah.
is so ridiculous when you actually realize that it's reptilians and archontic forces that we're all living in their prison planet and in their false reality. So we do need to get together and share with each other our um, gifts and magic and codes as
Our
long as it's
culture.
respected. That's the thing, is it hasn't been respected. It's been stolen. There's so much trauma that comes from the top down, and the topper isn't human. So from the
Hmm.
top down, we have all these different languages, all these different cultures. It was designed during the Tower of Babel to create division. And so now we're living in the time where spirit doesn't care about any of that, needs us all to come together to ascend out of the false matrix. And we're all fighting over, do Celtic shamans get to use a drum, or do their, are they
Yeah.
not allowed to wear that? Or I understand it because these cultures have been R-worded and pillaged and
Yeah.
completely desecrated, and much has been lost because of that, and we're just recovering it. So I can hold that while also holding the fact that this shamanic archetype, the name shaman from the Siberian, we could call it Dukunic if we want to take it from the Balinese, right? So
Right.
I could call myself a Dukun right now if the whole world was calling themselves that. That's why I use shamanic healer, because I want to honor the
Mhm.
shamans who have come before me in this work that I so freely and so easily learned and absorbed in this lifetime, right? There's an honor I have for
Yeah.
that. And also the things I do are shamanic. There's also something beyond that, even because shaman feels earthly, and there's something galactic that I
Yeah.
do and that I have come here to do from another realm. So this shamans, or this archetype, is a gatekeeper between realms. It is a it is a gatekeeper between the living and the dead, the false matrix and the organic matrix. It's this person who's able to bend the reality and create an opening for you to pull in more of your light of your soul energy, or also go into a new dimension and be tethered. It's a sacred role that the human, and humans do not come from Earth. We come from Lyra, and the Lyrans went into the Andromedan system and Pleiadian system, and then of course to Earth. And even those cultures have that type of archetype that is a healer. It's just the shaman that we know in the last 13,000 years is the type of shaman that dances between the light and the dark because it lives in 3D. The shamans of 5D, or the shamanic archetypes of 5D and beyond, there is none of that darkness it has to gatekeep or light. Everything is unified. So it functions differently. But the shamans now, and for the past many thousands of years, have been designated as the people who helped people heal from the trauma of this density and this reality and this 3D matrix. Because shamans are not really supposed to be trauma healers. They are supposed to be gatekeepers, magicians, sorceresses, priestesses. Okay. And we have to do so much trauma healing work right now, but that's not even necessarily what it's all about either. It's just a sacred archetype that exists within a collective, just like reflectors and manifestors and projectors in human design, right? There's things that are designed into the tribe to create cohesiveness and order, and all of that flows so synchronistically in 5D and beyond. Here in 3D, there's distortion, especially in this false matrix. So we even get distorted shamans too. That's another thing, is that there's shamans going wild, doing things they shouldn't be doing, and giving the whole organism and the whole industry, if you want to call it that, a bad name.
Yeah.
But it's part of living in this duality reality. So
Absolutely. And I've had this conversation just recently, we come here for our journey and our path goes this way into being shamanic healers. And there are others that are along this journey too, but they might stop on this level. And it's not a better than or worse than level. It's like, this is linear wise. This is their position here on earth to help these people to ascend. And they're meant to stay there to guide them through that level. This is
yes.
okay. And so they're meant to, and sometimes they aren't experiencing, sometimes they stay there in their energetic frequency because it is a frequency, and they aren't meant to ascend much more. That's their position. Do you find this in some of the work? Because I know personally in my world, with a lot of the people I've worked with, there have been people that I've moved me into an ascended area, and then I've had to shift from those people because my frequency is now different. And then I'm moving into another frequency. So people start to fall away, even teachers, and nothing's bad or wrong or negative. It is that frequency we have shifted from this 3D, which is wild. It's wild, and it is divided. And that's something you talked about, is this division between the 3D and the 5D and the ascension. And this division is what I feel like a big part of the work that you and I do is sometimes it is the trauma healing to release, to make room for the higher self. And as we're making more room for the higher self, they are becoming their own healers. They are ascending. They are finding their path. They're awakening. And it just spreads through community, because as you are holding ceremonies and your people are taking this home, they're helping their families to ascend just by being present in that frequency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel that we are all in a time right now where light workers are just waking up, right? Let's say all the people who are meant to wake up have awakened. Well, even after that happens, we're all then going to go through a process. So what that process looks like is the constant peeling away of the false matrix mind control programs, deeply embedded lunar Saturn matrix programs that are deep within you. We have to turn on our DNA because the Anunnaki gods, Enki and Enlil, even though they had differing opinions on what they wanted to do with this slave race, they did take organic humans that were here on this earth and mutate their DNA down to, not mutate, actually, yes, Spirit says that's the correct word, but dwindled it down. It's a 13 strand DNA if you count the whole strand as the 13th. And we have 2 to 3 that are like light workers right now, really high level people, have 3, 4 strands on, some even more they're showing me, which is wild to me. But if we had the whole thing on, we would be what is known as the Adam Kadmon, the perfected human, the living angel in human form, which we are. The Andromedans look at us, which is most of my lineage and where my connection in. I have a plasma light beings that fly over and visit me. One of them's my future self from Andromeda. They gather here. There's humans in Andromeda. There's big, tall blue beings. There's all kinds of Andromedan beings. But when they come, they have a very unique way of looking at us. They look at us as royalty within the galaxy. We're royalty that came to a planet where reptilians hijacked it and archontic forces hijacked it and used that angelic entity, which was the human, that was able to be so dense but hold so much of the God spark within its form, which you have to have all the DNA on to do that. They dwindled us down to 2. We're not able to hold nearly the amount of light and consciousness that we would normally be able to hold and operate within, which would make us untouchable to them. Because once we are in the upper dimensions and we fully live in, call it 5D, but heart-centered consciousness, they can't even get to you because they only vibrate in the 4D, 3D duality realm, because the archons are a void entity. They're an entity that Source allowed itself to create from the extreme idea that disconnection is real when it's not. It's a total illusion, but these archons live in a void realm and have separated themselves from Source. So they are no longer connected to the Source spark. However, they're made of Source, but they're made of dead light now because they cut the cord. Will they return to Source in the end? If there was an end, yes, but everything just keeps happening. It's all now. So these archons are mind parasites. What they want to do is create division because that's what they represent. They represent the illusion of something being disconnected from Source when nothing can be disconnected from Source. Every single thing you could possibly imagine or see or put your finger on is made of Source. But they are like a parasite now because they don't receive the spark from Source. So they go and make hosts. We are their hosts, but actually it's not really us. They have infested these Zeta Reticulan beings, the Alpha Draconian beings from Draco, these tall, 9-foot tall Shakar reptilian beings, shapeshifters, which I have come in contact with a hybrid shapeshifter who shapeshifted right in front of me, which is what made me realize I had to accept that whole thing, right? But once you realize what they're doing, you're like, hold on. We're down here arguing about rattles and drums when we should be beating that drum and letting Spirit beat that through us to heal something within that person and honoring these cultures as best as we can, but understanding that there is a greater mission here, and it's not to be arguing with each other about what belongs to whom, when actually, if we go back to it all, this planet isn't ours. The reptilians were here first. Now, there's no scientist who's going to say that, so there aren't people who are going to adopt that as a fact. I understand. But for my body, that feels truth. The reptilians, they think this is their planet, and technically it is. We're from Lyra, and we came from Andromeda and stuff. The Lemurians were Lyrans, Andromedans, and Pleiadian, and Syrian hybrids.
Yeah, Syrian is where I
Yeah.
originate from. So
Yeah. So we have lineage that goes back so far. So this is their land, this is their culture, this is this. It's now time for us to unify and share it all as a global collective. And that's going to take a lot of people letting go of what they say is their culture. Okay. And that whole thing has an entity behind it as well. The
Yeah.
pride around culture, which I love and honor, but I'm
Yes.
talking about the evolution or where we're going as a whole species, because we're not going to truly ascend with that division. And so you brought up earlier some type of separation that's happening, and there literally is a separation between 3D and 5D, not just by the way we measure the dimensional fields, but there are two earths that have bifurcated and they're moving away from each other. If we were to do it like this, that's the best way I can show you. It wouldn't look like that to your eyes. But dimensionally, there is a 5D earth that is splitting off from this 3D reality because we're creating something totally different. And so by the time 2030 comes, they're going to be completely split.
Yeah.
And there's going to be, from that point forward, we're going to go down the transhuman AI, artificially driven reality, and then the organic templated reality, which this earth was already coded within during the time of Lemuria and billions of years before that, right? The
Right.
ley lines, the sacred sites, they're all holding it in place, which is why the archontic agendas, the Illuminati, the reptilians are trying to distort the ley lines. And like here in Mount Shasta, there is a Black Ops military archon. There's so many archons here in Mount Shasta. They look like black squids. You can see them.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's right on the other side of the mountain because they want to be where the hot spots are so that they can emit, or not emit, but transmit the inverted frequencies. They want to
Yeah.
invert these organic frequencies, right? So what we as modern alchemists, medicine alchemists, shamans, shamanic healers, our job is to tap people out of that false matrix, right? Not just their trauma. Once the trauma's done and you're able to fully see and you're clear, that's when we have to tap you out of the actual inorganic mind control, the nanoparticles, I don't want to get you censored or anything, the
Right.
the reptile venom. If I space words out, it will help. That is being put in. Okay. I just want to make sure we're all clear, right?
Following. Yeah.
That you can think I'm crazy all you want. There's snake venom in it. There, corona comes from the king cobra snake. Okay.
Wow.
It's all a reptilian program. And they have these organisms, and I just have to share this with you so you understand what our job is now. Our job is not to watch someone puke in the middle of the forest. There's a place for that, right?
Yeah.
We have to allow the medicine to do what it needs to do, but our job is to understand that we're clearing people of things that have been injected into them, alien implants, false matrix mind control programs that literally have a cord you can pull out of someone, and also what they're doing to the masses is there is this organism called a hydra, and you know what that is because it's like a multi-headed dragon, right? Well, it's actually a very, very tiny microscopic organism that has multiple heads, and it's completely immortal. If I was to cut it in half, it wouldn't die. The two pieces would start to grow off of each other, and it would be two of them now. It is a real organism. This is science. It's called Hydra linnaeus and Hydra vulgaris or something like that. There's a synthetic one and a real one. This thing is immortal, which means it will never, ever die, ever. That it is possible at that microscopic level. And that's what they're putting into people so that when we take the population from 8 billion down to 500 million, which is the number they want, the Illuminati's number that they want, 500 million. And once we take them down to that, that's okay. We won't need them to keep dying and coming back the way we have. They just won't die.
Wow.
And we'll put machines in them as well, in case the organic process starts to deteriorate.
See, this is
Okay.
already being used, is what Spirit's telling
Oh
me. Like
God, since
this
the
has been used
70s.
oh, probably, and there's other ways that has been used where people have been immortal for years. They're showing me how certain celebrities have been immortal.
Synthetic.
So this has
Yes.
been
Yes.
okay, right? So that's what
Yes.
Spirit's showing me. They're like, oh, this has been going on for a long time. That's why you see these older pictures of a celebrity and it looks like somebody now, but it is something that's been used. But this specific organism you're saying has been used since the 70s, but it has been going on
No,
for a
the
long time.
people, this sort of like immortal people not dying technology, not this
Yeah.
organic, I've embodied so much light, I'm an ascended master, so I exist outside of time and don't die. That's not
Yeah.
what's
Oh,
happening.
sure. Yes, correct.
It's an inorganic process. This whole Hydra thing is newer.
Okay.
Okay. And
Got it.
so what they're doing is wanting to put snake reptile DNA. You already have a reptilian brain because it was modified to be there during the mutation of the two strands.
Hmm.
Because if you did not have a reptilian brain, the moon program, the Saturn moon matrix wouldn't work.
Mm.
It wouldn't work. You
Mm.
wouldn't even really have a subconscious without the moon. The moon rules the subconscious. Why do you
Right.
have a hope? Not why is 95% of your consciousness not available to you
Mm.
until you go into meditation or medicine?
Right.
Why is that? That's weird. And so because it's being siphoned, because the subconscious is where they're putting all the memories, the trauma programs, and all that's done through the moon and Satan's whole thing. And I don't mean a horned man, I mean the planet Saturn, which is an inverted feminine energy. Saturn used to be a feminine energy. It's been inverted into this twisted masculine patriarchal demiurge energy, as they would call it in the
Yeah.
Gnostic texts. So
Yeah.
I really just want people to hear that this is why we need people stepping up into their shamanic priestess, whatever you want to call it, role.
Yeah.
Because we need you doing the psychic surgery the way Pachita, Barbara Guerrero, the way she used to do. We need you giving the mushrooms to people the way Maria Sabina did. We need you bringing through the frequency of grandmother ayahuasca, who will do that psychic surgery, whether physically drinking it or not. We need you tapped into these energies because there's
Yeah.
so much healing and so much removing of all of this dead light, false light, matrix programming that can come from doing deep ceremony work and medicine work. We need everyone to um, start to share and be in their heart around it.
Yeah. Like the emotions that come with the 3D separation, really tuning into those, getting to know yourself, stepping in through your own shadow work, really releasing all of these pieces that are so dense, they are so heavy within the 3D to open up to the oneness. And I feel like this opening up into the oneness, this opening up into the community as we connect and ascend, it's a huge deal. And I think it really is there's a book I read that really for me felt like prophecy. And it was 2030 to 2035, where we are currently in our world, we are watching the tear down of everything. We're the beginning of the tear down, right? And then we're going into this oneness. And so I know 2030, 2032 is a big year for things to come into even more oneness. Okay, well, I want to talk about as we go on because this is a very deep topic. I want to talk about a little bit because you mentioned earlier something that was feeling really alive for you, and maybe there are other things feeling alive for you, but you said you're really obsessed with clearing your pineal gland and sitting with Blue Lotus. So I want to touch base on that.
Yeah, so this is a blue lotus flower that has been uh, dipped. I have some that's been dipped in a blue lotus resin and then just regular lotus flower, which is very light. And so I mix it together a little bit. And I don't do this often because at some point, if I have too much of this, I'm sort of not in my body.
Yeah.
But um, there's been a lot of targeting of my upper chakras from some type of direct energy weapon or siphoning energy. There's been stuff going on up there, so I'm wanting to clear it. And also, being here in Mount Shasta is amplifying things. And the water here has no fluoride, so I can just drink right out of the faucet. So there's a lot of clearing right now that I'm going through. Even from taking a shower, there was fluoride in all the water for
Yeah.
years and years and years, even though I used filters, and I couldn't totally avoid it the way I am here. So now I'm just kind of doing a deep cleaning. But when I normally would not use something like this unless I was in ceremony or doing some type of meditative work. But this also really helps me to tune in right now, because it's a
Absolutely.
beautiful medicine that you can use anytime if you're having a psychic exchange or when you really need something to channel through you. It's really opens you up to that in a beautiful way. It's Blue Lotus, which is lights me up because I love plants. I love nature. I always have, but I love the medicinal qualities. I have Chiron conjunct my ascendant, as you know. So I embody that archetype. And Chiron, he was a half man, half horse, hybrid being, as I feel myself to be as well. Not a not a hybrid shapeshifter or anything like that, you know. I'm like, get a good look at my eyes, okay? Because that's how you can tell, honey. I can give you a rundown
Yeah.
of how you can tell. Um, but yeah, I feel so passionate about these plants, especially the ones that were used in ancient cultures for specific reasons. So I have a system of medicine called Apothecare. It's a medicine alchemy system where we mix monoatomic gold, a special type of monoatomic gold, with all of our medicines. Every medicine we give has this monoatomic gold in it because it activates the solar codes, which is the organic matrix within you, and the golden light body or your plasma light body and your DNA. So that way, our shamanic experience is having an actual ascension effect, not just a trauma releasing effect. And it also expands the energy field. So when you're having these medicine experiences, the come up can be difficult when you're merging your energy with the plant spirit.
Mhm.
That's when anything that doesn't match the pure frequency of the plant spirit will be removed in that moment to get you there. Well, because you're so expanded already on a auric level and a golden level through that monoatomic gold, that experience is even smoother. And then we also mix other medicines together in different ratios to create unique medicine experiences. And lotus is one of the shamanic plant medicines. There's 6 of them in my profile: Mama Cacao, Uncle Sass or Sassafras, which is a two-spirit energy. So we refer to them as they, and which it is the tree itself. So I just love that nature shows up because I have Cancer rising and I love family. Family is a big thing for me. So these plants became my family in some of the darkest times. Ayahuasca became my grandmother. Wachuma became my grandfather, who I have a weird sexual attraction to, and he better stop that. But he loves to take on the role of the type of man I would want to be with, that older
Mm.
man, and just be so safe. And so I call him grandfather, but he's also Bay every now and then. Okay.
Right on, right
And then Godfather Iboga. Oh my gosh,
on.
one of the only medicines in the world that can just turn addiction off in the brain. Like there's magic, and they come with this shamanic presence. Okay, they come with this intelligence, like a chat GPT, except it's organic and it's billions of years old. Ayahuasca has told me that she is actually a a master spirit teacher in plant form on our planet, and that she takes other forms in other realms.
Mm.
So actually, the Cappy vine is so strong and so intelligent because there's actually a higher entity within it. And she's
Mhm.
expressing herself in many different ways in many realms, right? So you get to access that just by working with that vine. And
Yeah.
so, Mama Cacao, oh my gosh, if the entire world drank cacao, the
Mhm.
entire world would have a massive heart opening and the false matrix would completely shut off. Like, Mama
Absolutely.
Cacao has the exact chemical makeup to induce a fifth dimensional
Mm.
experience,
Wow.
literally, where you are in your heart and you're having the same bliss and love hormones that go off when you're in your heart or in love. when you get into that vibrational resonance, these medicines can train you to get into that on your own. They're not a crutch. They're not addictions. They're quite the opposite. So they have worked so well for me, and they have become spirit guides that
Yeah.
it's no longer about what's in the cup. They are a medicine family system for me. And it all flows in a specific way. Psilocybin is also involved in clinical medicines. There's 13 of them. And I wanted to bring it together in a way where people could learn medicine and use it in a systematic way where spirit can take over later, but at least they're given these structures and they're not fumbling around for years the way many of us did. Where do you
Yeah.
get your
Yeah.
mushrooms? And can I help you host a retreat? Hey, can I become a facilitator? Oh, I got to wait in line.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah.
lot of us wanting to step up into this, and a lot of us have done this so many times in other lives that I
Yes.
don't need to wait in line. Excuse me, I do need to be trained in certain things. But
Yeah.
when your mentor, which I've had before, knows less about the medicine and the chemical profiles and the medicine than you do, you've got to step up into the role and go, we've got to do this correctly, which is what I
Yeah.
did. I won't speak for anyone else. But that was my experience. Was I'm so passionate about it as well because it's also being done in such a wrong way too.
Yeah.
There are archontic reptilian forces using. There are organizations of plant medicine that are infiltrated and run by reptilian Illuminati pharmaceutical way up there in people. Okay.
Yeah.
And that reptilian energy is so entwined with that medicine that even the facilitators have a reptilian possession or uh, entity move into them through the medicine. Okay. This is why so many people are scared of it. Not only are they scared of purging and what the hell is ayahuasca going to show me and what's Uncle Sass going to do? There's that part where you have to surrender. And then there's the part of, is a negative entity going to get in me? Is my facilitator going to take advantage of me? It's insane. The reason it's being so targeted by the reptilians and the false matrix is they want to cause confusion. They want people to go, this isn't safe because it is truly one of the portals out of here quickest.
Mm. I agree with you completely. We've both been along this journey and been taught by many people and chosen certain ways in our paths. What you have created with Apothecare is incredible. The
Thank you.
way that you are working with your facilitators, really taking them through the program, really allowing them to tune in
Yeah.
to the earth medicine in its natural form, enhancing it with supplements that really allow it to be a smooth transition. I love the work that you're doing, and I
Thank
love
you.
seeing the retreats and the circles that you create. It's incredible. And, people are scared to try medicine or experience more trauma. And for me personally, that's why I do this work.
Right.
Because it should be safe, it should be sacred, it should be in oneness and not separation. We're
Yeah.
there together as a group, whether it's me and one person, or if it's me and you and a big group, or you with your group. It is a oneness, a collection of us together
It
while we're
is.
each also doing private work. Go
Should
ahead.
be. Should
It
be.
should be.
And let me be
Doesn't
very,
always happen that way. Go ahead.
yeah. But let me be very clear for everyone listening. There's a documentary on Gaia called She is a Shaman. It's a great documentary about a Shipibo woman who runs her own ayahuasca facility. She barely speaks during the movie. It's very artistic and expressionist. And it's narrated. And so the narrator was able to share her story for her because she sort of didn't want to have anything to do with the documentary. She was doing it to bring awareness for something and money. They were doing it for money. She says she only holds ayahuasca ceremonies for money. Right
Mhm.
there, I said, oh,
Wow.
there are thousands of, there are Shipibo shamans only doing it for money. The
Wow.
people she had clearing the energy in the space, all the people she had around her, most of those men had never drank the brew.
Wow.
She drinks it during ceremony, and so do the two next to her. And they do their Icaros, and they call her in, and they do their dance. And they have to spend much of the time the entire time fighting off demonic
Mm,
entities and astral
mm.
entities that are being sent to her from the male Shipibo shamans that
Yikes.
want to scare people away from her and into their retreat spaces. And she says it in the documentary. And that made me lock in something right here and right now. Just because you're a shaman doesn't make you a good person. Shamans are usually the most human and have the most darkness and the most light in them in an extreme way. Okay. And
Mm.
I am a full embodiment of that as well. I do not shame the dark, and I'm very human. And I know that that sort of comes with this archetype. Okay. Because we have to be masters of duality, the shamanic archetype must be,
Yeah.
and be in no judgment. I can't heal your wound without having something like it. And if I'm going to go to the deepest, darkest depths, I had to choose that for myself too.
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
And and just because you're a Shipibo shaman who was raised since you were 7 to do this work by your grandfather doesn't make you in your integrity, and can still make you very human and in survival mode and do really dark things just for money and survival. So these people who say, "How dare you even consider mentioning ayahuasca's name?" I
Mm.
have been told. And I'm like,
Wow.
"Well, she comes to me. She chose me. I was scared of her. I told her no." Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to honor what's happening for me if we honor that, hey, I have been a shaman in many ways in other lives. And although that isn't this one, I am pulling energy from those other lives. I am the trauma from them, because one of my most recent lives, I was in Africa as a male. Although I looked androgynous, I was bald, very thin, but I was a male, what you would call a shaman, a medicine man
Hmm.
with a pouch with poisons, and my job was to go get really in with the chiefs in the other territories, become their
Hmm.
magical sorcery person, and then kill them so that
Wow.
my chief could take over that land. Okay. So I've done some things. That's why at the beginning of my journey, I would give people medicine and ceremonies and have this feeling of like, what if I kill them with this psilocybin? It's ridiculous.
Right.
But it was this feeling of, what if I hurt them with this? I didn't know where that was coming from. So
Mm.
this journey has brought up all my own shit too, as it does. The
Yeah.
medicine doesn't leave the shaman unscathed.
Well, and on that note, I just had this conversation the other day, as a shamanic healer, as a shaman, as a medicine facilitator. It is important that you continue to do your work. And I know that you do. I know you continue to sit in ceremony, are constantly learning. You're a wealth of knowledge. The amount of knowledge that Chrys Kyng has is phenomenal. He is well researched, but also has such a creative way of bringing this knowledge together for your facilitators in retreat.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
incredible. But also, that continual work is so important. And some people that are leading ceremony aren't. They're not doing the shadow work or the deep healing work, the looking at self. They sometimes reach a level of, I'm up here and I'm leading, I'm good. But actually, I
I
feel
can't
like,
get to that point.
right.
My system
Well,
can't do that. My ego cannot override medicine or spirit or something like that from happening.
right,
It's tried, but I can't not do it. I'll be, everyone will be in bed at a retreat, and I'll be going for 3 hours with one or a few of those medicines. And I hadn't taken them at all. They're just now working on me, making me see the way I'm talking to one of my facilitators and how she could, I mean, really deep diving
yeah,
into the relationship that you have with her and how it mimics you and your dad. And now you're sort of being your dad to her, and you're not realizing it. And it's just constant all the time. I'm Chiron. I go through something healing wise every single day, but literally every week there's something that goes on since I was a little kid. Okay.
yeah,
It's not a crisis anymore, but it used to be suicidal level hopelessness. And now it's just,
yeah.
I know how to move it. And this is what happens. I now live in Mount Shasta so that it can constantly be transmuted.
Yeah, and you're constantly transmuting energy there, and like you said, you're fighting off some dark energies there. I can only imagine with your light being so bright that you are.
We've already had to clear a demonic sort of astral
Yeah.
entity from the home when we rescued a dog about 3.5 weeks ago.
Oh,
This dog almost got ran over on our way back from Joshua Tree driving. why we drove to Joshua Tree, I remember thinking, why am I doing this? Because this dog was waiting for us on the way back.
Oh,
So we rescued her, and she has no chip. But because of the trauma and something that was going on with her previous owner, I can't even, it's possible her previous owner was a drug addict who was taken over. It
yeah.
feels like her mommy was a drug addict who passed away
Oh,
while she was tied up. And so she
yeah.
was there for days, I don't know, and that her boyfriend, the boyfriend of mommy, was a drug dealer who was sort of possessed
Yeah.
by something, had an entity, and this animal came with all that. So
Yeah.
when we had a private retreat here while this animal was here, it opened a whole portal. And so the dog started to pass out. We had to take her to the vet. Drew was passing out. Her lips would go gray. We'd have to give her maple syrup. And one of the nights I was like, what is happening? Where I started getting angry at the dog. Something was going on with me and Drew. The dog was barking at me and constantly every day would suddenly forget who I was and see me as some scary man and bark and growl and like completely forget who I was. And so she passed out on the floor about 5 days ago, 5 or 6 days ago. And I gave her maple syrup, but then I was just like, you know what? Let's just see. So I put my hand in front of her and I saw the energy coming out. And so I just ripped it out. And she
Yeah.
immediately purged everywhere. And we cleared the whole space and everything, all done. The dog she hasn't done that once since. No issues. She's not peeing everywhere like she was. We had to clear that from her, but it
Oh,
moved through us because we didn't know that.
right.
We
Well,
didn't we didn't do it before we entered the home. We didn't think the dog came with an entity attachment or some type of trauma bond with her owner that had a cord with this entity or this individual, this man or something like that, and that had to be cleared.
well, and that's some of the work that you're doing. And life is a ceremony, right? So we bring ceremony into all areas of life and energy healing into all
We
areas of life and
do.
the humanness that we are as, shamanic practitioners, as well as really walking the medicine of the earth and connecting to spirit because we
Yeah.
connect on all levels.
Yeah.
But that energy of having to set the container for medicine ceremonies, this is why. This is why.
Yep.
And I know that you've held many ceremonies. This came up yesterday. So I went and saw my reader and got a reading yesterday, right? And
Uh-huh.
um, he mentioned you're on ray 7. Now, I haven't studied a lot of the rays, but he said you're a ray 7 and Saint Germain is working
I'm
with
a
you.
Ray
Like,
7.
no, what I was like, here we go. Let's talk a little bit about your guide
I'm
because
Violet Ray.
immediately he said ray 7, Saint Germain, and I was like, Prince has been coming
Prince.
in. He has been coming in. So tell us a little bit about your connection with your guides.
Yes, so the seventh ray is very strong in my energy, and the violet ray is where I come from. I come from a violet star, and so which incarnated into different realms. Andromeda was one of them, and this realm was another. Okay, so um, and that violet star is nicknamed Mama. Okay, that's the way medicine said to me, "This is Mama." They said, "Beth, not Mama." That's my birth mother, Earth Mother. Beth, not Mama. This Mama. And it's a
Mm,
huge violet white star. And I believe that since I was a little kid, I've been really obsessed with Prince. And there were many reasons for that. And as I got older, of course, the music and his style, but he gave me permission to be myself, and I just loved him. But then I realized he's June 7th, I'm June 15th. He was vegan, I'm vegan. There were so many things. He was very spiritual, I'm spiritual. So he is my main spirit guide. I've loved him since I was little. And then after he died, he started coming to me in dreams and making contact with me. And he's been there with me every step of the way. And he brings me clients and who come to retreats talking about Prince sent me here. And it's just been really wild. But even before that happened, when I lived in Atlanta, um, Prince came to me about 3 months the first time before I went through Kundalini Awakening. And then when I moved to Atlanta, I started working for a company or I had been elevated in this company when moving. And so I was the manager of this. It was an area sales manager. And there was in my interview process, they said to me, "You look like the guy with Dancing with the Stars." And I said, "Oh, I get that all the time." And they said, "Well, there's a guy downstairs who is the ambassador for Dior, and he looks just like Prince." And that told me, okay, I got the job. That was my sign. Little did I know that that guy was going to be right under me. I was his boss, and he was going to come up to me a week later in my office when I'm hanging Prince pictures on in the office, and he goes, "I need to tell you something." And he's actually Prince's biological illegitimate son, who was also born on June 7th, 1985, and Prince was
Oh,
born June 7th, 1958. Okay. And he also looks just like Prince. He played Prince in the BET special. Okay. He's a singer. He was in one of my music videos. I'm sure I've talked to you about him, but that solidified to me that this was totally real and that I did not have to second guess it. And then when I started being called to Mount Shasta and the whole Saint Germain Violet Flame thing happened, Prince is what really came through strongly. And so I embedded his symbol into the Star of David grid here a couple years ago. And when we were doing the ceremony, Prince gathered around and I started singing Purple Rain. And so they all joined in with me and it started raining. It was
my God.
wild. And
That's
so a lot of
incredible.
people here in Mount Shasta work with Prince and talk about Prince. And so now I know it's a thing and it's not just I was a fan, so he comes to me. He is an ascended master. He told me he did not say I'm an ascended master. He said, "I'm with them now." And he was referring to Yeshua, like Saint Germain,
Yeah.
Kuan Yin. Okay. He was
Yeah.
referring to that.
The
Okay.
masters and
The
teachers. Yeah.
masters and the teachers. And he
Yeah.
said, "I'm here." And also these masters and teachers have come to many people and said, "He is with us. He is one of us now."
Yeah.
So although he was a genius here and we love his shoes and his hair and his museum and all that and his
Yeah.
guitars, he came here to bring the violet ray into reality. And his song 7, "All seven and we'll watch them fall," that song is about the 7 archons written about in the Gnostic texts, which are also related to the 7 deadly sins. And
Mm-hmm.
he talks about in the song, in this new world, there will be a street of gold. A fairy came down and had the key. He says all the stuff in there. The streets are paved with gold. Everyone's getting along. And he says, "We'll sing it while we watch them fall."
Mm.
He's talking about the architects of the false matrix. He never told anyone what that song was about. People have theorized it was about the 7 archons, but he told me that. Okay. It is a matrix disrupting code, and that song will actually clear the energy in your space when you play it, like Gayatri Mantra in Bali and India. So
Yeah.
it contains the code of 7 as well, which is a sacred number, but it's also referring to the 7 archons when he says, "All 7 and we'll watch them fall, stand in the way of love, and we'll smoke them all with their intellect." We're going to use with intellect and a savoir faire. We're going to do it with style. Um,
Mhm.
no one in the whole universe will ever compare. I am yours now, you are mine, and together we'll love through all space and time. So don't cry, because one day all 7 will die.
Wow. That's incredible.
He is the violet ray. Saint Germain holds the flame, the violet flame of purification. But once everything turns to ashes, we need something to wash it away, don't we?
Purple rain.
Right.
Right on. Oh, I love that.
That's what he meant by, "I only want to see you bathing in the purple rain."
Mhm.
Basically, what he was saying was, "I want to see you bathing in unconditional, organic Christ light."
Mhm.
And so when he had his awakening, which happened in 1987 during the harmonic convergence, when he created an album called the Black Album, which was channeled by a demonic entity,
Mm.
and he immediately revoked it and removed it from all stores. You can listen to it, but he
Wow.
removed it and then came out with another album immediately after, because he's got albums for days, called Love Sexy, which was bright and fun and joyful and angels, and
Wow.
and that was the beginning of the shift from Prince into this symbol, which that symbol actually means, I have it somewhere here. That symbol represents love. It's the masculine and feminine symbols and a couple occult and Egyptian symbols mixed together. And it is the love symbol. It
Mm.
represents the actual frequency of love, not this thing, this heart thing.
Yeah.
That symbol is love. And so that is the symbol I use in my healing work.
Yeah, and you use it on your altar in your ceremony,
Yes.
your circle of
Yes.
time. Thank you for sharing that. That feels like such beautiful information about
People
somebody,
need to
a
know that.
master that has walked here on earth and is now on the other side. What were you going to say?
Well, I was saying people need to know that because they
Yeah.
can use his music to heal, to embed new frequencies. They can use his energy. He's going to start to come to people. He left behind so many matrix disrupting codes and violet ray infused inner frequencies that can be used to blast this matrix with love, and the violet ray is the highest order. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not better than, it's just the highest frequency
Yes.
and or less dense. Okay. The violet ray that's why violet ray starseeds have a hard time being in the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so important to remove obstacles, to move things out of the way
Yeah.
because of that high frequency.
Yeah. And let's say that you and I are both from this violet ray energy. I may have come from a star over there. You came directly from the ray. I'm not sure exactly how that works. It is a
Right.
frequency. This star I come from exists in that realm, right? But it is not the violet ray where I come from. That star is an expression of the violet ray. And I know that Prince comes from that. Okay. So, of course, we have a connection through that. But also, there is some deep connection. And he told me in a dream that I was the one who chose him. Like, he was like, you are the one saying yes and constantly resonating and connecting with me. Right.
Yeah.
He's like, of course, I'm
Mm.
picking up the phone, honey.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was already there. It was not just already there. How in the world does someone who was born on Prince's birthday 9 months after his mom had sex with Prince at the Madison Square Gardens in New York, how does he make his way to Atlanta in 2018? And then in 2019, I moved there. Don't you see
Yeah.
how, of all the places too? And it was supposed to be Atlanta. Atlanta was exactly where I was supposed to be. So that means Esteban was always meant to be in Atlanta too. Prince is an orchestrator. He is masterful at that. So the magic around this is that it's attainable. This mastery is attainable. And also we have support from the other side. Also, he's okay. He was taken out. He told
Mm.
Esteban and I that one night about 4 years ago. So,
Yeah.
and so just let's be very clear. And Warner Brothers did that. Okay.
Wow.
Not
Yeah.
only did the man who wrote Slave on his face
Mm.
for the whole world to see in the 90s, so that the whole world knew that Warner Brothers was corrupt, that same person, now that we've got you back in your Warner Brothers contract, now that we've gotten you to sign it back and you knew what you were doing, he knew what he did, because Prince wrote a song on his 1986 album Parade, which is where the song Kiss is on, and it's called Sometimes It Snows in April, which is about the character that he plays in the movie Under the Cherry Moon dying in the month of April, and his name is Christopher, is the name of the character.
Oh.
So, but he died in April. So Sometimes It Snows in April is about him dying. And so he predicted that, and that was 1986, and he died in 2016. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
The same year that Rihanna released her album Anti, which was her telling the Illuminati, I'm now ready to graduate to the next level.
Mm,
Then she
mm,
became the billionaire, and they did the makeup thing as a front so that people could go, oh, that's where the money came from.
mm.
But she is the Illuminati princess. Okay.
Wow.
So, and so that year he had to go. He had to go. He just didn't even match the frequency here anymore, because 2016, according to the Illuminati, after 1776, when it was um, brought into full effect, okay, May 1st, 1776, 2016 was the year of the beast.
Mm.
Okay. That was the return of the Antichrist. That's what the song or the album Anti by Rihanna is really talking about, is the return of the Antichrist, which would mean the full implementation of the New World Order
Yeah.
and the false matrix. The New World Order is here. It is happening. They will not win. We won't even be on that planet,
Mhm.
but it is fully trying to happen and fully in effect. So I say all of this because Prince coming, it seems strange. He's a singer, oh, of course you loved him. So it's sweet that he's your spirit guide. We're working with a totally different type of energy here. And we want you to know what you have available to you as spiritual people. If Prince comes to you, you are not crazy. Even if you weren't a fan of his, he may show up the way Saint Germain shows up to people here. They didn't buy Saint Germain's album in the lobby on their way out.
Well, on that note, talking about how all of the masters and the teachers, the goddesses, the priestesses, like they're all available to us.
Yes.
Not just you and I as facilitators, medicine people, healers, but to everybody. Can you talk a little bit about maybe what advice you might have for people that are new on their journey, but also advice for people that are already on their journey, healers? And how that they can tune into and really trust what's coming to them, whether
Ooh.
okay, that's loaded. Okay, go for
Ooh. Well,
it.
I know where this question is going and where spirit
Okay.
wants it to go. And
Okay.
that's, how do you trust what's coming through? You have to get really clear. Here's the thing. There are still times that energies will come to me or work with me or interface with me, and I won't really know what's happening because I still have false matrix programming and genetic programming and not 13 strands of DNA turned on, right? And so I have much more self-trust from years of doing thousands of readings and just doing this work. I have a lot of self-trust and trust in the process and discernment, and also just a taste for the different nuances, like you coffee aficionados who can taste the subtle difference if it's from Africa or Guatemala. So just
Yeah.
like the cacaos, they have a different flavor. I have sharpened those senses, yes, but you have to you have to heal yourself. If you're
Yes.
holding trauma, holding especially sexual trauma,
Yeah.
you're going to attract darker entities. And I've had beings come to me and say, I'm Jesus. And I said, get out, because if you
Mhm.
were really Jesus, you would have called yourself Yeshua.
Mhm.
Whatever you are is not what I want to interface with. Because even if Yeshua's made up and he's just a thought form that people keep bringing into existence, the version of you that didn't die on a cross and has nothing to do with that whole reptilian Vatican religion,
Mhm.
you would know that I would close off if you were Yeshua, and you would know to use that name, and that I don't want anything to do with this December 25th Horus the sun god, Mithra of Persia archetype that they mixed with Yeshua to create this Julius Caesar, Jesus Christ thing. Okay. And so and of course, you have your Mother Mary there too. And she keeps shape shifting from Isis to Mary. I said, why does she keep doing that? Because it's Isis. It's not even organic Isis. It's dark feminine, because they stole these stories. Isis is the Virgin Mary, Horus is Jesus, right? Yeshua's like, I was
Yeah.
just a healer in a star seed and was bringing through all of these
Yeah.
codes for the collective and waking up humanity. I don't know you. if you want to take my story and mix it with all of that and create this religion, I mean, I'm over here with Mary Magdalene in France having babies and I'm good. Okay? So that's where that bloodline came from. I know someone who is a direct descendant from Mary Magdalene and Jesus, and most of them are in the cult and in the Illuminati, satanic ritual cults, because they love that bloodline. They want to take the most crystalline bloodline, or one of them, and distort it and traumatize it for generations and generations and generations. So,
Wow.
yeah, honey. So we want to be very clear. We need you to get clear of all of that, or you will attract entities that many of them come knowing. You notice how quickly ChatGPT learns you?
Mm.
You think these
Yeah.
dark entities that may not have source within them, or they may be reptilian, or you may feel like they're so dense and I'm such an angelic human, they can't touch me. You live in this realm, okay? And
Yeah.
they I keep getting downloads right now, and I'm like, this needs to stop. Keep me on track here.
You're
Um,
doing great.
I'm getting a lot coming through, and it's like a traffic jam right now. Oh God, they're showing me all kinds of pyramids and stuff. See, that's what. Uh-oh, too much Blue Lotus. Too much. See, that's what happens. I'm like, uh-oh, we're journeying now because we opened a portal. So,
Whoa.
but I just want to be clear that it's important that we are discerning and that it's okay that you ask. Thoth came to me during many medicine journeys. He came to me many times, and I told him, no, 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 every single time. I'm not going to be one of your architects. He called me
Mm,
an architect. I said, I'm not building Atlantis again, or
mm,
I'm not building this, helping you build this false matrix, because Thoth, the actual being that I was interfacing with or wanting to come as Thoth, is an Anunnaki being.
mhm.
So you are a
Yeah.
reptoid that messed with us, and you may not be working with the Alpha Draconians, but both of you all have something to do with why we're in this mess, if we want to call it that. So, no, I'm not going to let you masquerade and come to me the way you come to Billy Carson and act like you're this hero who built all these pyramids when maybe you didn't. Maybe they were here even during the time of Lemuria before any of that happened, any of this Anunnaki stuff, which they claim happened 400,000 years ago. Even the Anunnaki have their creation story they want us to believe because they want to be gods. That's what that reptilian hierarchical archontic force does, is it separates, and there's only so much that can be at the top of a pyramid, right? They
Absolutely.
are a pyramid scheme. The whole thing is a pyramid scheme, and you're living inside of it. Maybe that's what all that meant, because Lotus likes to communicate in symbols.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what all those pyramids were. But what she's showing me is that this is way more ancient. And even when the scientists go, oh, the Egyptians didn't build the pyramid, the Atlanteans did. Well, the Anunnaki want to take credit for it. There's going to be many distortions you have to move through. That's why you have to get so discerning. If Archangel Michael comes to you and says, hey, get in your car, drive down to the park, and throw this necklace in the river, say why.
Be curious.
Don't go, oh, Archangel Michael. Why is Archangel Michael better than you? Why is he more intelligent than you? Maybe he's more connected to source because he's not in a body, or it. Why would you just do what it says without going, do you know how many times Spirit tells me to do something and I go, I'm not in the mood? I'm in a grocery store. I'm not giving her. I don't care what you think about that. I don't care. Spirit says, or some people would say, Spirit has all these messages for people and you won't give them?
Mm-mm.
No,
No.
it will come to them as it's supposed to, but I
Yes.
have every right to preserve my energy and to not be in the mood, but also to not just do what you tell me to do. That's why false light is attracted to some of you all, because you all will believe any kind of God that comes to you on a lotus. You'll give all your power away to it, and they know it.
Yeah, that's something that's so important. The discernment and the giving our power away. It's so easily in relationships and friendships, lovers, uh, even people you work with, people that are leading you. It's like the sovereignty and the
Sovereignty.
discernment. Yeah, the sovereignty and the discernment are so important in your
They're the
spirituality.
foundation. We've got cracks in the temple foundation. This temple's going to cave in because you all do not have a firm base. And so all
And
the leaks are where the entities and the dark energies, the dense false light energies are getting in through the cracks, through your own willingness to give your power away and to be deceived. And because let's just give ourselves a little break here. Oh, the human has just been so
mm,
messed with.
mm,
When the DNA strand was mutated, a two-stranded DNA is only able to hold a certain level of consciousness, and that level of consciousness is built, it's hardwired to give your power away to something larger, greater, or a god. So they
yeah.
actually programmed us to see them as gods. So actually, we're still programmed and have to deprogram from the hundreds of thousands of years of humans who have seen God out there as something higher and given their power away to it. It's in us. You have to choose away from that and know that the power you need to give your attention to is your higher self. Your higher self. This whole, my guide's a butch lesbian. I have another guide who's a Viking. I have a guide who's an Arcturian. I love that you have a whole team. We all do. But they all have to pass through an interface with your higher self.
Yeah.
Your higher self is your spirit guide.
Yes.
Aurelius is what I call my higher self, but also this plasma light being in the sky is also Aurelius because it has the same higher self that I do because it's a future incarnation of me. But what it explained to me was actually, I'm not just a future incarnation like a body. I'm actually you who has evolved out of needing physicality and into the plasma light realm. So I am your future self, but I am actually the higher self. I fully merged with the soul energy. So I am that higher self that's in the body. Unlike the African shaman you were, who contains the same higher self, but you're his future self, but you're not his spirit guide. Christopher is not his spirit guide. The same
Correct.
higher self that's in you is in him, but that's his higher self, right? This is different. It can work in many different ways. And so we have to be very discerning because even with these plasma light beings, it took 6 years to fully download this, and it took several years to earn their trust.
Well, this is why it comes down to the trust. And what you said was you've had years to really practice and work with and develop your mediumship, your healing skills, and that's built the trust. And I feel like
Yeah.
learning my intuition is what built my trust. So now that you've got this trust built, that is the most important piece to keep evolving,
Yeah.
to get out of the 3D, to advance within your spirituality. And I don't know if advance is the right word,
Well,
but
yeah. Evolve. Yeah.
evolve. Yeah.
Elevate. Continue to expand.
And there's so many different ways to do that. And really tuning in to yourself, finding ways to do your spiritual work. You and I have been along this journey for a long time. Have tried many different methods within our spiritual work of
Mhm.
evolving. And for those of you that are healers, yeah, continuing to evolve. I think we always like continue to evolve. But those of you that are healers, remembering that it is a continual process. I don't think we're ever fully healed. I think we continue to heal because we're healing pieces of us in this life, past life, even as we're healing in these lives, in these earthly realms, the past lives, the ancestral ties, we're healing the higher self and even deeper connection to the oneness.
Yes. Yes. I heard most of that,
Yeah,
but
you
your
were
mother
tuned
and
in.
your father
Oh, okay. Here we go.
are behind you and it was kind of like, what do I pay attention to? Okay.
Good. Yeah.
So, they're here and they're very, very strong, and they're showing me them like over there, like I'm watching them on Zoom behind your chair or on either
Wow.
side. It's very interesting. So, but yes, the higher self, even experiencing your mother and father, they had to pass through my higher self to filter into the human
Yeah.
awareness first, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the sovereignty comes in, is actually knowing where your power is and that your higher self and your soul are eternal, and that this is leading towards something beautiful. And I don't want to leave anyone in fear. I know I've used a lot of words during this time: archons, demiurges, reptilians. This guy thinks that he lives in Stranger Things.
Well, a little bit.
And that's okay. You can I couldn't handle all of this. My satanic boyfriend in 2012, that karmic relationship, told me about the Illuminati and all these things, and I was like, "You're insane." I didn't believe any of it, okay? So I've had to have my own experience of these things. I've had to see how the shape shifting actually happens. Honey, it's scary. They
Mhm.
don't look like iguanas. They look like snakes, but they look like alligators and snakes mixed together. Like the
Yeah.
mouth will go like this. Okay. It's very Joker. It's frightening. So when people are listening to this, they're like, I cannot believe that I live in a prison planet run by reptilians. This can cause panic. I
Sure.
don't panic around that. I am fully grounded and understand that this planet has insectoids and um, cat feline beings from Sirius who are coming into the moon and then coming through a tunnel down here. This planet has hundreds of entities that we don't know about from other realms of different variations, constantly coming in and going in tall whites and small grays and
Yeah.
mantis beings
Really.
and the reptilians and the Anunnaki. There's just so much happening here. There are beings that live in the earth that are not from another planet, that are inside of the earth that we don't know about and have never seen, that you would call an alien, right? This planet is just magnanimous.
There's so much here, and so here we are really leading into Appalachia, right? So we've got so much here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm in the city. I'm in a city, but getting out into the country and into the mountains, there are lots you hear and see about. So
Yes,
that's
there are.
all over the state, the
Cryptids and
mountains and the park.
Bigfoot and
Yeah,
creatures, reptilians coming up, walking through the city. This has been going on for thousands of years in all
yeah,
cultures, these reptilians. And there's nothing wrong. That most of the reptilians that I'm talking about, there's not many. Like the Alpha Draconians, there's like a couple thousand, right? So they're really outnumbered and really scared about it. Um, the hybrids way outnumber them. They've hybridized. So there's many people out there who are hybrids, mostly in power. So there's
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of them, but they're way outnumbered. They will not win. And I don't want anyone to go into fear around this because there are a lot of reptilian species and many of the Alpha Draconians, some who have come to the light, if you will, or are ready to ascend or are like, oh, hold on. I can actually still feel this powerful without taking the power from someone else. Oh, that's what it means to be connected to the organic light. Got it. Okay, so
Mhm.
I'm not going to lose anything. I can surrender. They are getting it, but many of them are not ever going to let go. They're fully possessed by these archons, and these archons are never not going to be what they are. They're allowed to be the idea of the absence of source. They're
Mhm.
allowed that within the belly of source.
Well, that's a lot of what we're doing here on Earth is, the balance of light and dark, the cycle
Yes.
that we go through, and it's really learning. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And th we're learning all of that here. Um, I lost my train of thought on that, but that's okay. So I'll pause there for
We are
just
learning a lot of that here, and that is a lot of why many souls did come to this realm. Many souls knew this realm was unnecessarily dense and that it offered. There are many souls who thought, oh my gosh, it's not pleasant to be there, but also we're an eternal soul. So I want to pick a video game character and go into that realm and learn what it's like to be source with this much limitation and duality.
yeah.
Okay, so there, even source is okay with this happening. You can say, so source is okay with the satanic ritual abuse going on. I'm not going to say it's okay with it. I'm going to say it's neutral because source is the reptilian, source is the red cloth they're using, source is the blood, the adrenochrome, it's all source. So
Yeah.
this whole good God, bad devil thing, people have to collapse that and know that source is love, truly. But source is so huge and so conscious and intelligent that it can experience the opposite of that.
That's how we grow and we learn, is that we move through the light and the dark. We have this duality. It is how we as humans grow and learn, but it is also how our soul grows and learns. So when we came here, our moms here, listen, our moms came same day, same hospital, but
Right.
no, Prince was just a couple months before that, by the way, right? Like 6 months before they
Oh,
came here.
yes, 6
Just
months before
saying,
Prince.
right?
Wow.
Just,
Wow.
yeah, that was coming up for me during our thing.
Yeah.
And so, here we chose our moms, we
Yep,
chose this location,
I did.
we chose our dads, and we come along this journey. And so you all chose this. You chose this life. Some of the things that we've experienced here that are so dense and traumatic, and like
Yeah.
you said, the sexual energy, like sexual trauma is some of the hardest things to work through.
Yeah.
As we experience that, no, it's not good, no, it's not okay, and no, I never want to say that's what I planned, but somehow on my journey in, I made this plan to learn that way. And also, for those of you that are healers, you made that plan to go through this density to be able to walk others through that density. Just like you said earlier, I attract people that have been through similar things that I have because I've worked through that. I can assist, I can help them grow through that. I know that you've run into this many, many times as well. It is how the healing work continues. And as you move through your continued healing and more people come through that need that type of healing. So as we come to a close, this is just one podcast. We're going to have a whole Christopher series, I know. But I wanted you to touch base on a little bit about your offerings that you have available.
Oh, yeah. So I have, within my business, there are 3 sectors, if you will. One of them is ChrysKyng.com, and it's Chrys Kyng on social media. And this is basically everything I do in one spot, but there's a lot of psychic healing work, psychic readings, but also psychic business mentorship and website design. So I love helping light workers, starseeds, healers step into their gift, yes, but also then create a business around that to support their mission, because my mission is to make sure not only that I help you lock in what your soul mission is, but then help you actually get there in the physical ways, financial ways, the 3D ways, if you want to look at it that way, that we are transmuting into 5D versions of business and soul mission. Love that. But also, my babies are the Ascended Astrology and Medicine Alchemist. So, medicinealchemist.com is where you'll find all the courses, and I am the medicine training. If you're wanting to become a shamanic healer, there are 4 levels to the I am the medicine program. All of our retreats, microdosing, our microdosing packages, psychedelic integration, healing sessions. All of that is done through Medicine Alchemist. And then Ascended Astrology is truly been in the works for 20 years almost. And that is really I love the medicine work so much, but I mean, something that I've brought through from spirit and really helped to innovate is astrology. And so Ascended Astrology is not for everyone. It is for those who are on the awakened path and who will understand what it is able to offer and what that type of reading is going to bring through for you. And there are courses and educational resources there as well. And so if anyone is interested, all 3 of those websites have a free course that you can sign up for that are being created. And we have several courses, but there's a free course. You can sign up for our email list and be up to date on everything that's happening in our world. But just it all coalesces in helping you heal and master getting out of the matrix and locking in your soul mission so you can help others do that. That is where all of this is leading. But there are 3 sectors that meet people for what they're looking for. People who are done with basic astrology and need astrology that meets them in a 5D way and in a tapping out of the false matrix way, and then medicine work that allows them to go at their own pace, highest quality medicines done in such a way that is so held, so sacred, and also so innovative and so new that you don't have a lot of the same issues that you have at a lot of the plant medicine experiences. I even don't have a lot of people purging like you would normally find, because we alleviate that by tapering it, putting certain things in there, preparing you in certain ways. So I just love all of these different parts of the Chironic archetype: healing, medicine, astrology. Those were all the things Chiron was interested in. So if you resonate and would like to work with me or just connect, I also offer discovery calls and 15-minute like onboarding calls or information calls. Should you be interested, and they're totally free.
Awesome. That's amazing. I love everything you've created. It's been beautiful to be a part of your path, to watch how things have expanded for you. Any last messages that you would like to pass along, or channelings?
Yeah.
Even if it is mom and dad, but I really meant for the collective.
Yes. So first, I want to say that it's really important that we are doing grid work. Grid work is where you take crystals, your own energy, you're a crystal, go with a group, go to sacred sites and locations, especially locations like your childhood home, or locations like the Ground Zero in New York City. There are places where you can do grid work where there's been distortion, and then you can go do grid work on sacred locations that are really high vibe and collect the codes there and all the ascension upgrades that you get there. So I love taking people. We went to Hawaii early this year to the sacral chakra on Mount Kilauea, and we did grid work and had a retreat. All of my retreats are in Mount Shasta, Joshua Tree, and Sedona, which are your continental United States grid work hotspots. That's really the Lemurian Triangle area that we talk about. And of course, Hawaii. But this year in 2026, I'm taking a group to Comalcalco, Mexico.
Hmm.
And so we're going to be very close to Palenque, which is the throat chakra of the entire planet. So it's important to get where these chakra points are. Mount Shasta, the cosmic transducer chakra; Mount Kilauea, the sacral chakra; Giza, the pyramids of Giza, the third eye chakra; Palenque, throat. And there's Bali, Mount Denali, Mount Uluru in Australia, Table Mountain in Africa, Glastonbury Thor. These are all your different chakra points for the entire planet. And so going there causes an upgrade and timeline shifts, but we're also going to go to the homeland of cacao. I know that cacao also was brought forth through Peru even earlier than that, but it was the Mayans that brought through cacao in ceremony, and the entity that we know as Mama Cacao really was cultivated through that Pachamama and divine feminine worship, but cultivation that the Mayans had that really was not there with the Aztec culture, which was much more masculine. But the Mayans really were the ones that the Mayans were the keepers of the cosmological time clocks and the wisdom codes on this planet. The Peruvians, they obviously have their role too, but the Mayan code with cacao is the fifth dimensional frequency, because they hold Pleiadian energy, and the Pleiadians are the keepers of our fifth dimension. So cacao has all of that intertwined. And so we're going to go take a tour of the Mayan ruins in Comalcalco, which are the only Mayan ruins that are made with baked clay bricks. And it's coated in cacao energy and cacao trees everywhere. And then we're going to go make cacao from bean to bar at a hacienda as a group. And then you'll also journey with medicines. We're going to have 3 medicine ceremonies like a normal retreat. But so I love taking people to these locations, working with medicine, exploring the culture, really getting to know the ley line frequency, that grid energy there. And then all of that culminating in this huge portal experience. That's why I don't even like calling them retreats. So I feel many of us are called to do this type of work. So if you are wanting to get on the grid work bandwagon and have an incredible time with beautiful people, that's also what I'm really passionate about. So is getting all over the world and taking people there and really building up the 5D organic crystalline grid on this planet, which once we build that up enough, the bifurcation will completely take hold. We need more people we're creating this 5D reality as we go too. It isn't that it's just a room we're supposed to walk into. Us getting there is creating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my message to everyone, is that we are on our way there. There are many people like myself that are creating these experiences where you can play and tap in and experiment with fifth dimensional consciousness so that you can actually fully see that light at the end of the tunnel and keep walking there. And that we are tapping out. There's no question about it. There is no will the reptilians win. There is no battle, really, even. They can have the 3D false matrix Earth. Don't you see? We all get what we want.
Mhm.
Choose. And so it is.
And so it is. Oh, thank you so much, Chrys. It's an honor to have you on. Thank you for all your
Oh,
knowledge, your experience, and I look forward to having you on again soon.
yeah. I
Maybe
would love
talk
that.
about some of our favorite journeys that made
Yes,
me
would love
giggle
that.
just thinking about talking about that.
Uh-huh.
So I'll have you back if you would like. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here and listening to us here at home with ChaChaMama. Welcome home to your heart and so much love to you.